Well, hello everyone. Welcome to today's session on transforming retail returns and exchanges with AI. My name is Zane, and I'll be your moderator for this discussion. Returns have always been a part of retail, but in today's environment, they've become a true make or break factor for both customer experience and profitability. Shoppers now expect a frictionless process, while retailers are dealing with growing costs, supply chain pressure, and sustainability concerns. What used to be seen as a back office problem is now directly tied to brand loyalty, margins, and operational resilience. That's why we're here today looking at how AI is changing the returns game. We'll explore the inefficiencies in traditional processes, how automation can reduce fraud and streamline reverse logistics, and how smarter, personalized interactions can actually turn a return into a relationship building moment. You'll also hear a case study that shows these strategies in action, delivering measurable cycle time improvements and cost savings. We've got a great lineup of speakers. Ramesh will take us through how AI is driving efficiency in returns and exchanges, while Amina will dig into the customer experience side and what this means for retailers aiming to build trust and loyalty. Together, they'll walk us through a case study before we wrap up by looking at where the industry is headed next. We're also very excited to have a special guest, Soprana, joining us. Soprana is a seasoned technology leader with more than 20 years of experience driving digital, AI, and data transformations for global retail and consumer brands. As the former VP of Technology at Capri Holdings Limited, she led large-scale ERP and digital modernization initiatives across 450 plus stores, optimizing post-purchase systems to boost customer satisfaction and profitability. She's also held leadership roles at EPAM Systems, Publicis Sapient, and HCL Tech, bringing a unique perspective on how retailers can bridge strategy, technology, and customer experience in the returns process. So with that, let's get started by grounding ourselves in the challenges retailers face today when it comes to returns.
Absolutely, Zane. And before we dive into how AI is transforming retail today, I think it's important that we step back and look at the challenges that retailers are grappling with. Zane, can you move on to the challenges slide, please? Yeah. So although retailers evolving and making great strides when it comes to omni-channel and digital engagement, one area that continues to challenge even the best in the industry is the returns. And currently, returns account up to $850 billion annually. So again, this is just taking into account the 50-20% of the returns, generally speaking. But if you look at the fashion industry, it exceeds even beyond 30%. So from customers' perspective, returns are an extension of the brand or the sales experience. They want it fast as well as frictionless. It's observed that extensive customer base, more than 70%, they get disengaged from a brand following a bad returns experience. So this highlights how critical this post-purchase journey is when it comes to this loyalty aspect. And when we look at it from the retailer's lens, reverse logistics can cost 2 or 3x more than the forward shipping. It's also very complex due to a lot of factors involved. And returns goods, as you understand, they lose value by the time they're back. And it obviously leads to markdowns and further eroding the margin. So the challenge here lies in between balancing the customer satisfaction cost and ensuring the overall efficiency. So let's hear from Suparna, our guest speaker today, as she has led a lot of incredible initiatives in here. So Suparna, with your experience leading digital and AI transformations for a lot of the global brands, how do you envision returns evolving in current retail landscape? And if I can extend the question further, what's the untapped opportunity and how retailers are managing it today?
Thank you, Amina, and thank you so much, the Moxie team, for having me here. Um, Great question. From my standpoint, returns have really evolved from being a back office operational issue to a core part of customer experience, and honestly, a make or break moment for brand loyalty. Most retailers still treat returns as something to minimize or manage quietly. But the reality is, returns today are one of the most emotionally charged interactions a customer has with a brand. If that experience is slow, rigid, or unclear, it doesn't just frustrate, it erodes trust. That customer is far less likely to come back even if they like the product. But here's where I think the opportunity really is. Returns are a gold mine of insight. They can tell you what's broken in a customer journey, in a product development, in sizing, or even in marketing. For example, if we consistently see size 8 jackets being returned or being too tight, that's a product signal. If one category sees high rate of change of mind, returns after markdown, that's a pricing strategy signal. If customers are bracketing, which is buying 3 sizes and returning 2, maybe our product page needs better guidance or personalization. How did we tackle this at Capri at my time with Capri? Is we connected our returns data back with upstream systems, which is PLM, OMS, and our CRM system, so that what was happening post purchase could really influence decisions pre-season and in season. That led to better forecasting, smarter allocation, and more relevant product recommendations. What Moxie is doing here is incredibly aligned with that vision. By layering AI and automation on the top of the returns process, they're not just accelerating processing, they're uncovering patterns at scale that retailers can get proactive. That is where the shift is from the reactive to the predictive returns management that becomes powerful because now instead of waiting for the customer or return something and the churn, you can anticipate it, personalize the journey, offer an exchange instead of a refund, or even in some cases prevent the return altogether by setting expectation more clearly upfront. So for me, the future of returns isn't just faster logistics, it's mass smarter decisions across the entire retail life cycle. Returns can become a competitive advantage if you treat them as a source of intelligence, not just as a cost to absorb.
Yes, Suparna, I totally agree with you in here. So, for decades, traditionally, returns have been handled in a rather reactive way. We wait for the customer to tell, like, what has gone wrong, and then the return is initiated. But with this, the dent is already created in the customer trust, and we've also incurred a cost. So, this is where I think we need to flip the script. We need to transition from being reactive to anticipating what might happen, as you said. And let's just imagine if we have a system that can tell us before the sale occurs that this particular product has a higher probability of being returned. Or say a particular customer segment is more likely to return certain items due to sizing or delivery issues and so on. So this is where AI empowers retailers and how we can be proactive based on this predictive insights. And AI also helps in connecting these dots to create this seamless process for customers. So instead of just concentrating on how do we handle returns efficiently, I think we should also envision and be prepared as to how can we avoid the returns altogether. So as we make this shift, the next step is about driving efficiency at every stage of the process, and let's see how AI is helping us handle it better. So let's hear it from Ramesh. Ramesh is speaking on mute if you're.
Sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
Thanks, Amina, and thanks so much, thanks, Suparna, for giving those insights. And as you rightly mentioned, data is very important, right, for all the future predictions and to handle returns. And as you said, returns are not just only that logistics involved, but it involves all the customer sentiments and the data, how to improve further. So I'll just walk through a couple of inputs, how AI has become a key part of the complete return strategy for any of the organization. And to start with, basically data. Once we have the data and all, so there are multiple supervised models on which we work on and all to get the predictability of the item to whether it will get written, whether what is the probability of getting that item returned. So this involves the analysis of data, historical data, the product attributes, the customer behavior, and how, and with all this input, a written probability score is generated, with which basically we can during in the checkout process itself, we can judge whether we should be whether the item what is the probability of item to get returned and all, and how can we manage the proactively, maybe by offering a better size or a suggestion, giving a suggestion on the review comments and whether it will fit, or try, or giving an option for the, in case of apparel and all, giving an option to visually try that try the item and all. So with these aspects, basically we can reduce the return rate for the item and all. Apart from that, so once the return is reduced, automatically the refunds and all the relative costs get reduced and all. But but even though we when we try to reduce the return rate and all, the customer still wants to return and all. So here comes, once the item is return order is placed, right? So here comes how we can use we can use computer vision and other AI strategy to analyze what is the product of what is the condition of the product, whether it is reusable or whether it can be resaleable, or we have minor defects and all. Again, with the use of computer vision and enhancing the giving the uploading the data and all, we can basically get through the condition of the item and then classify the item based on the nature, why the item is getting returned and all. So, if let me just give you a few examples of this thing. If someone from Indian e-commerce and all, you might have seen the quick commerce platform, which uses, suppose you have a perishable item and all, and you it got the quality of the product is not good. So, it asks the customer to upload the picture or a small video, and then based on the condition, how it was received and all, the refunds are processed. So this basically image reading the image and the to assess the condition is mainly done by the computer vision, which basically helps us in uh, quickly assess the condition and take a call on what are the next step to be done. Uh, and once the item is kind of returned and the return order is kind of approved, kind of this thing, then comes a question of how quickly or how best we can route it. And again, this again depends on the nature of what is the category of the returned item, whether it can be resold to in a discounted store, or whether it can be basically sent back to the warehouse, and so all depends on the how best you can optimize the algorithm, and then basically link it with the TMS and warehouse management system to see how effectively we can manage, and we can whether we need to send that item to a far off way discounted store, whether it is feasible to do that, or whether if the item is of less cost and all, whether it can be resold locally, kind of this thing. So those decisions are made based on the data, based on the product category, location, and the cost of the cost per route, kind of this thing. When these data are fed to the supervised models and all, it gives yeah, it tells us the optimized route and optimized way how we can return this item. Apart from this, so till now we have talked from a retailer perspective, but coming to a customer perspective, the customer deals with lot of frustration, confusion, and the trust with the product or the brand. This thing, that is where the role of conversational AI adds value. So generally, when you talk to a chatbot and all. So from an customer perspective, customer tries to show all the frustration and on the chatbot and all. So there we need to empathize, and the chatbot basically learns that to empathize and understand the sentiment of the customer. And based on the few of the advanced chatbot, conversational AI chatbot, basically they link it with the computer vision models and all, and basically they process the return on the go based on the computer vision images and all. So apart from this, whenever there are basically uh, the number of ways the returns are handled in a very simpler and format, the kind of fraud which is where there are potential, the fraud is also increased. So based on the data and the customer profile, there are models in which basically we analyze the data, whether the number of returns are coming from the same address, or number of basically, or the customer profiles basically based on that, or the tracking numbers are different, kind of based on the analyzing the data, we understand whether it's a fraud, and whether it's a fraud or and based on that, basically, it can be done. And last but not the least, the return processing based on the intelligent automation RPA, and the complete processing is done through using the RPA and all, and the refunds are processed as soon as possible, maybe sometimes within minutes. Also, the refunds are processed, which makes the customer happy and at least satisfied from the total turnaround time. Jen, can you move to the next slide? Yeah.
Yes, Ramesh. So as we've heard from Ramesh, how we can redefine the efficiency. So the next frontier for us too that we need to conquer is the customer experience. So in modern retail, how fast we process a return does matter. But what's more important than that is how well we retain the customer through this process. So one which we have discussed already is that we need to make a shift from firefighting to forecasting mode, predicting the issues before they happen, identify why certain products are being returned, and preventing those altogether. And if you closely observe, customer experience extends beyond that purchase or sales. Essentially, it also involves how easy it is for the customer to return the product and how fast the refund can be processed. So by harnessing the power of AI, we can anticipate the return patterns, identify the root causes of why customer is not happy, right? And we can also personalize returns, that is, make use of AI to adapt return experience based on customer preferences, purchase history, and loyalty tiers. And how this works is, for instance, we can offer smart recommendations. Say the customer's returned a product due to fit issues, we can suggest an exchange with the right fit instead of giving a refund, right? So this ways we can ensure the customer's satisfaction is intact or even better, improved. And refund leakage is also reduced. And then we also have dynamic return policies that we can implement. So suggestion here is the retailer should not be tied up with some rigid policies. We should not say it's one size that fits all. Instead, what we can do is we can implement loyalty-based flexible solutions. Like for members or VIP customers, we can have additional return window as compared to your occasional or guest buyers. And we can also take into account some contextual adjustments like, say, weather disruptions or supply chain delays. And when it comes to fraudulent returns, AI can help analyze the behavioral patterns to identify policy abuse. One such concern we have observed with retailers is the wardrobing, which generally impacts with the high-end products. And AI can also integrate with payment gateways, and it can look into why multiple returns are happening from a same account, right? So that analysis also can be done. We can generally try and catch the patterns early and try and prevent it. So with this, we have a balanced approach. We are trying to reward genuine customers while also trying to protect our margins. And there are various other proactive solutions that can be looked into, like size recommendations or virtual try-ons, and this can be implemented during sales itself, right? So try and nip it in the bud, basically, and reduce the return rates before they actually happen. So ultimately, we should ensure that the every post-purchase interaction feels just as thoughtful as the initial sales or the buying journey for customers. And we should also think of how can we reduce the friction and drive the repeat purchases. And as we talk about the enablers of AI in the next slide, it's important for us to note that AI is not one single technology. It's more like an ecosystem of innovations or a layered stack, basically. And each plays a distinct and a very important role. Word of caution, though, as Ramesh was saying, AI is only as good as the data it learns from. So data has to be accurate and connected, and we need to have timely updates if we are looking for trustworthy outcomes. But let's say it's inconsistent or it's incomplete, it's obviously going to lead to poor predictions and wrong decisions as well. And machine learning is like the brain behind the scenes. It analyzes the extensive data set, it lists the past data records, and identifies the patterns of why customers are returning certain products and what's causing the damage, right? So once we understand the underlying issues, this helps a great deal in reducing the overall return rates and also improve the customer satisfaction. For instance, retailers can make use of ML to forecast regional demand surges, let's say for Christmas, for holiday season. With this, we can optimize the stock availability across your stores, fulfillment centers, and so on. And your generative AI and LLM is like your creative engine at scale. It generates content, responses with almost human-like fluency. One such use case we observed was like retailers have made use of generative AI to integrate that with the product information management systems, and they helped auto-generate the optimized product descriptions, with which we are trying to reduce the content creation time drastically, and we are able to launch products faster with this personalized experience. And sentiment analysis, we have NLP, natural language processing, that empowers retailers. It listens to the customers across the channels and helps translate the unstructured feedback into actionable insights. For instance, let's say your retailers can make use of NLP to sift through millions of reviews and detect the pulse of customers about, let's say, a fabric or quality or sizing issues. And these insights can be shared with the design teams, and they can adjust the patterns or materials. With this, we can help strengthen the brand reputation and also reduce our returns. And with this early detection of dissatisfaction, we can try and enhance that loyalty aspect. That's what we are concerned or worried about, right? And also, as we've heard from Ramesh, who spoke about the computer vision as well, which helps reduces the manual inspection time, and we also have better quality control. So with each layer of AI and tech stack, it truly helps deliver great value, and it's trying to unite the data, intelligence, automation, and so on. It's help driving that to deliver that personalized and great experience that customer expects, not just at the point of purchase, but across the entire journey, including the returns. Yes, and I think Zain, you had a question here for Suparna.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and also I just wanted to say, obviously among the four of us, we've been in retail for a number of years now, but we've all been consumers longer than we've been working on the other side of the aisle. And I think we've all had those times where we've had a return experience that's been less than ideal, and it's turned us away from, being loyal to whatever brand that we're looking at. I can say, personally, I've had services that stayed with me for longer because even though I was unhappy with what happened with, an app I was using or a product that I was getting, regardless, if I'm talking to a human or if I'm being connected at the right time with the person, moving from a chatbot to, oh, now I'm actually having a personalized experience with a person, that becomes a lot cheaper for organizations to handle if they can hand off at least that first interaction to a chatbot, to something that's always going to be awake and ready to listen to the customer's complaint or issue. And being handed off to a person then afterwards, sometimes that's the difference between, having that good interaction that sticks you with that brand for another year or two, or it's the thing that makes you go, you know what, I think it's time to check out a different company or a different organization. So I think it's really important to emphasize how much those emotional moments like really come down to the consumer level.
Agreed.
But no,
Yeah.
but yeah, I did want to ask Soprana, these things, because Amina was just talking about the data in particular, and I know that, sometimes it's the age of the company, sometimes it's the size of their data or their on-prem on the cloud, whatever. But change is going to be difficult at any organization, and especially those larger or legacy ones. I'm interested in finding ways to show gains even in the short term. Do you have any strategies that you've encountered that help demonstrate the efficacy of adopting these new like mindsets with managing returns? Because I'm always trying to, convince leadership, like, let's take that next step, let's take the next leap. What do you find like works in regards to that?
No, Zain, that's correct. You're right. Change is always going to be a challenge. Whether it's a small or large business, once you are an established business, change becomes really, really hard. especially where, you are dealing with large and matrix organizations where returns have been traditionally treated as a cost center, and not just a strategic lever. That's where you will feel the maximum pushback on the AI-led returns process. One tactic that I think works really well, to convince leadership is to start with highly visible, quick win use cases that align with the leadership KPIs. For example, if you say reducing refund cycle time by 2 or 3 days through AI-led auto approvals, that in itself states a KPI to the leadership, which will make them
Right.
interested in that use case, which is how can I reduce that lead time through auto approvals that then they can take on and see if they really want to reduce through AI. Other ones that I've seen, some use cases that resonate with execs are using smart routing to cut shipping cost on returns by double digits, or personalizing return experiences to nudge towards exchange instead of refunds. These don't require a full platform rehaul. So these some of these examples, these use cases that I listed, they can be achieved through modular pilots. But what they do is they build credibility quickly with measurable results. Leadership then starts to see returns not just as a sunk cost, but as a lever for customer retention, loyalty, and margin recovery. I always recommend showing how returns data can fuel better demand planning, better sizing accuracy, or a product development. That cross-functional insight builds broader buy-in because now you're not just improving the returns experience, you're strengthening the entire go-to-market cycle. So
Right.
these are some of the strategies with, very targeted use cases, with focused KPIs, with pilots that you can convince leadership to build AI into the entire cycle, return cycle.
That's fantastic. I think the biggest challenge sometimes is just getting people to believe in the vision. So that's really great advice. I appreciate it.
So, yeah, I'll take this. So coming to the actual implementation side, right? Right now, we were talking about mainly the how the process would be and all those things. While coming to an implementation cycle, it's as Suparna mentioned, right? I think she has covered most of the points what is listed here. So, it's none other than any of the AI project. First, in the discovery phase, you get get the access to all the workflow and the data and see how the data how much data is there and how you can basically analyze the data and how you can use the data to basically come up with the use cases and all. And the second is what Suparnaka has mentioned, prioritize the use case and pilot it in a very small scale, maybe a small use case of routing, optimizing the routing, or giving them an alternate and all. And then once the pilot is successful, uh, go for the next set of use cases, integrate with the product and all. And again, this is an iterative circle and it requires multiple optimization, data continuously feeding the data and getting it, and a continuous learning exercise, the model learning exercise is there. And once we reach there, and this iterative, it takes time to get the maturity and all. And once we mature and all, you can see the benefits, whatever is there towards the on the screen. So your return rates almost drops, and and more importantly, the customer satisfaction increases and all. So again, the next slide basically talks about the best practices and also which is also an outcome of this. We coming to the data and prioritizing the use cases which has got clear business value, and then basically getting that empathy to the customer by using conversational AI and and driving driving the organizational change, which is a very big cultural change to having a physical returns to basically having everything as a virtual kind of this. Um, I think with this, yeah.
Yes, Ramesh, sure. Thanks for that. So now let's have a look at the real world example. A retailer that's a high-end glassware and home decor known for its handcrafted crystal and beautiful timeless designs. So it was serving customers both online and in stores. It was all going good. But as the brand was expanding, it was facing certain challenges. So managing returns was a big issue for them, considering the fact that it's glassware and fragile products. And during peak season, it was all chaos. So there were also some logistics issues impacting cost and also affected the overall customer satisfaction. And there were operational efficiency related issues because of breakages, inspection delays, and some manual interventions as well. So all this made the returns process quite cumbersome and it was impacting the brand perception too. So the uncertainty this retailer faced was how to make this returns for this delicate and high value products look seamless and efficient as a process and also minimize the risk. So let's hear it from Ramesh what transformation was implemented and how these issues were resolved.
So basically, this here we mainly focused on how to reduce the returns and get have a quicker refund process done to the customer, mainly by analyzing this retailer, since it's a glassware and all, right, by analyzing the customer profile and all and their return probability and all, we suggested them either alternate or the design or based on the and based on the uh, exchanges and all, we suggested few of the alternate items which the customer would prefer based on his preferences and all. So that was one of the thing which reduced returns, and the other was basically using the computer vision and getting the refunds processed, identifying the issue with the product and getting the refunds process, which was which helped the customer to have the faster return processing time. So these were the two main key items. While we were implementing these things, the other were falling in place, like the customer satisfaction and all were falling in place for the customer basically. Yeah, you want to go to the next slide?
Yes, so let's take a quick look at the emerging trends that's shaping the future of returns and how innovation is redefining the entire post-purchase experience. Basically, what's the next wave of innovation with AI? So one, what we've observed is the shift from narrow to general intelligence. This represents a move from systems that excel at one specific task, something that we are seeing in today's day and world, the chatbots, image recognition, and so on. And these are capable of learning, but whereas Gen AI is general AI, it's capable of learning, reasoning, and also adapting across multiple domains, much like what we humans do. So general intelligence aims to understand the context and then make decisions, almost in entirely new situations altogether. Like with narrow AI, we have multiple models. Each model did perform a specific task. For instance, let's say one model predicted why the items were returned, like your machine learning. And another, like your NLP based, it provides the AI powered chatbots. And third, another product which might help analyze the product images, say computer vision. So each is working well, but in isolation. Now, when we move towards the general AI, this acts more like a seasoned pro. It understands the entire end-to-end journey. It connects the insights from the customers, warehouses, logistics, and makes that unified and intelligent decision. That represents the next frontier of AI evolution. So future is pretty exciting. So next is efficient AI. It's like running the smart operations with fewer resources, but still delivering the same or better results. What says in?
Yeah, I mean, so obviously at Moxie, we can't necessarily make AI greener for all of the data centers and the various things that are required along the infrastructure to generate it. But other businesses and clients are obviously concerned about green energy consumption and trying to make as little of an impact on the environment as possible while this technology is still evolving so quickly. The easiest way of doing that is, you know, levering the model efficiency itself. Even the multimodal stuff that Amina was just discussing helps a lot with that hardware efficiency, operations as far as like carbon aware scheduling, liquid cooling, cleaner power. There's not a lot that we on our side can do, but we can always partner with businesses that are more concerned about these things. And that's the sort of stuff that a lot of our clients are concerned with these days.
It's wonderful to hear that, Zane. I think we've covered, right?
Yeah, I wanted to ask Soprana though, before we jump off here. Given we've kind of discussed returns and exchanges with AI at this point across the myriad of concerns between clients and their customers, what excites you the most about the intersection of retail AI and the customer experience, though? Is there any do you have any examples of like a smart AI returns process that reduced rates, improved satisfaction, and the retention metrics that we're talking about?
Yeah, I do. Zane, I think what excites me most, and that has been, I've seen the topic of discussion lately as we are heading into the holiday season, where we always experience a high number of returns for the next 3 months, and every retailer revises their return policy as well from 1 month to 60 days or sometimes 90 days. What excites me most is how do we improve loyalty? How do we build an experience where the experience is learned from the returns data that it will drive loyalty, which is how do we finally close the gap between what a customer is expecting versus what they actually receive. So that customer journey piece that they see on any channel, how do we really make that so meaningful that whatever they receive is exactly what they saw on the website or the mobile app or the channels that they are interacting. In apparel especially, returns are tied to fit and sizing, as we've talked about. A lot of debate on how do we actually nail the fit and sizing issue. One brand that I worked with, they had a very high double-digit return rate on key apparel categories, mostly because of either the sizing uncertainty or the bracketing behavior, which is I'm going to order, even though I know my size is medium, I'm going to order a small as well, or I'm going to order a large as well, just to make sure that I'm covered on both of the sizing sides. That for that brand, personally, the project that I worked with, we implemented an AI-driven returns engine that just didn't automate the back end, which is the logistics part of the returns, but it actually we used the return data to improve the front end shopping experience, which is where we were able to, after implementing that, whether that is a true size fit for that customer or not, based on their shopping behavior, based on certain surveys and questionnaires. We built that entire data ecosystem where we could actually predict whether it's a true size, a small is a true size for that customer or not. What we did was basically we mapped the return reasons by SKU and size, and then used that data to train recommended models. We updated size guide dynamically based on customer feedback and body type patterns, or feedback on them. Also deployed AI nudges at checkout to recommend the best fitting size or suggest alternatives with low return risk. The result was a huge dip in the returns rate. Size related returns and customer satisfaction also rose. What I love about this one is that we weren't just solving returns, but we were building the confidence, which was we were building the confidence in the brand itself that a customer would have, that the sizing would actually work. I don't need to order two more additional sizes because I know if there is a medium sold by this brand, that medium is a true medium and that's going to fit me. So that's where I feel there's a major shift on how do we build loyalty through the returns data.
I love it.
Wonderful to hear that, Suparna.
Thank you.
Looks like we have a couple of questions here, and I'd rather put these to the whole group. So if anybody wants to jump in, don't clamor all at once. But how can AI-driven personalization reduce returns for fashion retailers?
Probably I can take that up, Zain. So in fashion industry, as we were discussing throughout this webinar, that sizing and fit are the major cause of returns, right? And with AI-powered tools that provide solutions like virtual try-ons and fit prediction modules and even style matching algorithms. So this can help customers choose the right product upfront during the sales journey itself. And this will lead to significant drop in returns. And we have seen few retailers, sometimes it drops even up to 30 to 40%, especially for apparel brands by using this size intelligence tools. Hope that answers the question, Zain. You're
Zain,
speaking
you are
on
on
mute,
mute.
Zain. Yeah.
Of course, unless somebody else wants to chime in as well. I also had another question. How do retailers handle unstructured data in AI models? And this one I'm actually a little bit more concerned with because I find that unstructured data is a large part of any implementation of AI in the first place.
So I can take that. So basically, as I said, right, the first part of the any AI initiative is to understand the data and how to transform it to a structured data in which the model can understand it. So the data analysis plays a very important role in understanding the data and then transforming it. Once we have the data, then the next steps can be taken care.
So just add on to what Ramesh was saying, right? We can make use of natural language processing, something that we were discussing through the webinar as well, that we can use these models to pass to the customer comments, emails or chat logs, whatsoever, right? From wherever we can gather the unstructured data. And we can use the chat GPT based embeddings. Retailers can extract key themes, like let's say there's a color mismatch issue or a late delivery and so on. So these insights can be fed into for this product design or logistics planning and help elevate the process overall. Yeah.
Awesome. See, we have another question. Does AI help with sustainability goals related to returns? I mean, I think, an obvious answer to that is yes, because even, if you're concerned about the usage of AI just from, a grid standpoint, there's also the concept of fast fashion. And a lot of people are really trying to get away from that, especially in retail these days. But I'm sure if anybody else wants to jump in for that one, not wasting shirts is just, one way you can go green with AI.
Yes, and I do agree with you. So returns do generate some billion pounds of landfill waste, is what I've read in one of the reports. So a few approaches that we can make use of with AI is trying to reduce the returns at the source, right, through better product recommendations, one of the solutions that we were discussing. And we can try and optimize the reverse logistics and minimize the miles that have been traveled, reduce the carbon footprint, and also route the items for resale and refurbish, another important point which Ramesh was highlighting earlier, right? So I think this can help with the sustainability goals.
Excellent. One final one in here, unless anybody else has anything they want to say at the end, but are there any drawbacks of AI? And how can Moxie help reduce those drawbacks?
So again, yeah, I'll just it's a very tricky question, Zain, and yeah, see, as any AI model, right? AI model gives us a probability, right? Based on the probability, based on the nature of the customer profile, based on the product details, and based on this probability data, the business needs to take a decision, and that's where that AI is built based on the nature of the business and all. And that is where is it. And sometimes maybe the decisions are wrong. And there is a very tricky probability. It's again a probability question, right? So if the probability is less, and if, or is the data seeded in is not adequate to get the correct probability, then it might give a wrong decision.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. The thing that jumps out at me is how quickly the field of AI is constantly changing. I mean, even universities can't keep up with teaching kids these days how to use it in their science classes. So I think having somebody like us on your side, keeping track of all these updates and trying to be as on the ball as possible is probably a lot more convenient, so that you can run your business and the industry that you know and love best the way that you want to. So that would be my spiel. I think that's all the questions that we got from the group. Is there anything else that anybody would like to say before we end here?
A note of thanks to Suparna for joining us and sharing all those wonderful insights. Appreciated, Suparna, so much.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
having me. It was a very informative and insightful session.
Thank you, Suparna.
Thanks.
Awesome, we
Thank you all.
appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, everyone.